Or right across here. How do we get in the back here, Marlin?
Mr. President, your National Security Advisor, Brent Scowcroft, said last week on television that the Cold War was not over and that he felt that Mr. Gorbachev was trying to make trouble for the Western alliance. What is your view, sir?
Well, I'm not sure that's an exact. I should let the general defend himself, but I've expressed my view not only in the campaign context but in several times afterward, and also to Mr. Gorbachev, and our administration position, in which the General Scowcroft is in total agreement. Indeed, he'll be one of the leaders in this reassessment. Is let's take our time now. Let's take a look at where we stand on our strategic arms talks, on conventional force talks, on chemical, biological weapons talks, on some of our bilateral policy problems with the Soviet Union, formulate the policy, and then get out front. Here's the U.S. position. And I don't think the Soviets see that as foot-dragging. I'm confident they don't. Indeed, I made that clear to General Secretary Gorbachev just this week, and a rather long talk with him. So but if I want to try to avoid words like Cold War if I can, because that has an implication. If someone says Cold War to me, that doesn't properly give credit to the advances that have taken place in this relationship. So I wouldn't use that term, but if it's used in the context of do we still have problems? Are there still uncertainties? Are we still unsure of in our predictions on Soviet intentions? I'd have to say, yeah, we should be cautious. Yeah, Leslie.
Mr. President, there seems to be some question about just how long the no-tax pledge applies. Is that a one-year pledge, a two-year pledge, a four-year pledge?
I'd like it to be a four-year pledge.
Is it
John,
a four-year pledge?
I'd like it to be a four-year pledge, yeah.
Mr. President, Yasser Arafat's been over in Europe meeting with the foreign ministers of Spain, France, and Greece. Marlin has said, and so has Brent Scowcroft, that it's too early for Arafat to meet with Jim Baker. On what level would it be appropriate for Arafat to meet with an American official? An Assistant Secretary of State, for example?
So we changed the policy on the Middle East on dealing with as change came about in the policy on communicating with the PLO. It was based on their acceptance of three principles. As long as they stay hooked and stay committed to those three principles, we will have, when appropriate, meetings with the PLO. I haven't given any thought at all to when a meeting with the chairman, Arafat, with an American official is appropriate, and I would wait to see how we go forward. The point in talking to them is to try to facilitate peace in the Middle East. And it seems to me that if there's some logical step that requires high-level sign-off by various participants over there, then only would it be proper to elevate the meetings to that level. We're just starting. You crawl before you walk. We're just starting to talk to them because they have dramatically, I'd say, agreed to the principles that are part of our policy.
Again, in that regard, you said in a wire service interview the other day that you needed to have some foreign policy initiative early in your administration. It seems the Soviet relationship is going on the back burner while you discuss the nuclear force structure, for example. In what area are you going to try to move forward? Central America, the Mideast, where?
All of them. But we got to have a little time. We're not going to let this Soviet thing put us in a mood of a foot draggers. We're going to be out front. There's no reason to suggest that all we have to do is react to a speech by the General Secretary. I want to take the offense in moving this relationship forward and taking steps that are in the interest of the freedom around the world, whether it's in Eastern Europe or in strengthening our alliance. But there's plenty of trouble spots. One of them, as you mentioned, I think, Central America. But we need to complete the reviews. But I can't tell you, John, which one will become where you will see the first major initiative, whether it's going to be the Middle East, whether it's going to be Central America. We got problems, of course, that afflict the whole continent and other continents in this third world debt problem, and then, of course, the Soviet Union. But No, I don't want to play defense, and I don't want to look like we're foot dragging, just waiting around to let others set the agenda. But prudence is the order of the day, and when you're gunning for something as important as a bilaterally supported policy in Central America, it does take a little time. I've only been here less than a week. Yo.
As you know, the minimum wage has been frozen for even longer than congressional pay raises. Since you support a large increase in pay for the most affluent 1% of the country, would you favor pushing for an increase in the minimum wage, which would benefit the lowest income groups of the country, as part of your promise in your inaugural address to reach out to all the people?
I've always said that my position on minimum wage is that I would want it linked to a training wage, to a differential of sorts, so that you don't throw people out of work by raising the minimum wage. And I'm not one who has felt that the minimum wage is the key to economic prosperity for the people on the lowest end of the economic spectrum. But as I indicated, I had certain flexibility on that question, and again, I'll wait for Elizabeth Dole, takes office next couple of days, to come in with her recommendations. Saul.
Just follow. Are you?
How are we going to
afraid
handle it?
that-
Let me ask you, stop the proceedings. Don't take it out of their time. What would be the fair and noble way to handle follow-up questions as we do these things? Would it be good to have them or not have them? But then you cut out, but then if we do it, everybody else doesn't get a chance to answer questions, because I'm about to pull a ripcord on this thing. No, seriously, how do we, I want some advice.
Statement and just come back and not have anyone follow it up. It just
Yeah.
hangs out there.
Suppose you don't
You
answer
mean
the
my first
question.
answer is less than precise? On occasion. No, but I'm asking, I'd like to get, because here we are, all these women and men who happen, like back to Lubsdorf area there, untested on the question.
The standees.
And the standees have got no time at all. So
Follow-up.
instead of yet another question, you may
You decide. If you think somebody's playing games with you, say, I'm sorry.
say I've already answered them. Then what happened? Saul.
Wait a minute. Where's my follow-up?
Oh, you didn't have a follow. All right. I've already answered that one. Yes, Saul. No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go.
Are you concerned from a standpoint of perception? You're supporting